Did you just spit when you...
I did. I'm so fucking excited. I'm so excited. I spit when I speak. So fucking excited I am about this.
This is the last one? Last one. Here we go. All right, let's get out of here.
That's Mike. That is me. And my name is Chester. Life is so weird.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are like periods of time where I feel like I've got it, like all my stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and then there are periods of time where I'm just like, I am such a failure at everything, and I just like, I can't do anything right. Like, I'm a horrible dad. I'm a horrible husband. You know, I'm just like, ugh. And it's funny, but like, this is what's great about being a dad.
Yeah.
Is like when you're around your kids, like none of that stuff matters.
Right.
It's when you start to like, when I start to project my adult stuff onto my kids, that's when I'm like, I realize I'm like, I'm kind of being a jerk.
Yeah.
You know, and like, or even like just like being a jerk to my wife or whatever. And it's like, I need to step back and I start to like, you know, talk to my kid about his feelings and stuff. And like, we've been counting our blessings at night, and it's like little things like that.
Actually, like trying to
yeah, you
record
know, he's
your...
like, yeah, it was like one day he was like, you know, Dad, you ever just like had a day where like, even though you should be happy, like everything's just bad? And I'm just like, yeah, buddy, I have. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm having one of those days. And I was like, well, let's focus on like, you know, maybe we should think about all the things that we do have.
Right.
That it's really great. Because sometimes we get caught up on the one thing that's bad. It's like, I'm the kind of guy, this is me on stage. There's 30,000 people like going up, going, yeah. And I see the one dude who's just like, I hate you.
Yeah.
But
And I'm like, why? And I have to, and all my attention goes to that one little flaw.
yeah.
You know, and like there's all this great stuff going on, and like I'm not even paying attention to all
But
that
I
great
think
stuff.
a lot of incredibly high achieving, high functioning people are like that. If you're not that way, it's very easy to kind of get caught up into believing all the positive, and then you get lethargic. You don't want to push to...
Well, as a competitor,
yeah.
as a competitive person, I see the person in the crowd and I go, why aren't you liking this? And what do I have to do?
Yeah.
You know, and how do I win?
Yeah.
Right. And but when you do that with everything else in life, it's not really.
You can't
that
be
cool,
that way with a dad.
you
Yeah,
know?
you can't be that way
I mean,
as a dad or a husband. Yeah.
And so, it's really strange. But something as simple as going, you know, man, I know you really wanted that balloon and it popped, but you know, there's a whole bag over here that's like of balloons that you can have, and it's like, you know, we start talking like that with your kids, they start to realize like, okay, there's other things, and yeah, and all of a sudden, like next thing you know, like every night we're counting our blessings, and you know, it helps you. It's really caused me to kind of look at life a little differently, because I'm kind of focused on these like very specific problems, and I kind of, you know, and those become everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to, you know, be a dad and just kind of like remove yourself from that and just focus on your kids. And somehow it relates to the things that go on in your own life. And, you know, you're kind of like fathering yourself, or kind of like raising yourself with your kids, because you kind of realize like, I can't be the guy I'm with my friends with my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have to be a dad. And so you have, you know, as a dad, you kind of have to just be a man, and you find the time to do the things you have to do, and be the person you have to be, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Chester, you hit a point where you needed to really take stock of where you were at. What was going on for you?
Well, I think for me, the success of the band was never really the thing that was the problem for me. I mean, a lot of my stuff I was carrying around for a long time, and then it was also like the relationship, you know, honestly, between my ex-wife and I at the time, really played a huge role in kind of how I viewed the world, and kind of how I secluded myself in a lot of ways from people, because when your home life is so weird, you kind of don't want people to see a lot of it, so you kind of, you know, you just let people see a little bit of it. But when you do that, you kind of find yourself really not knowing who you are. And I knew that it got to a point where the person that I knew who I was in my mind and in my soul, I wasn't being that person outwardly in the world. And so that kind of fucks with you a little bit. I think for me, it was more of a personal, spiritual journey as opposed to like, how am I reacting to the success of what I love to do? And that's when everything else caught up at the same time. So the stuff that I was carrying from my childhood with that, coupled with probably the fact that I was successful and I could kind of disappear for a while, I think that was a perfect combination for a lot of things where I needed to, reevaluate how I wanted to live my life. And so the band came and helped me out, and I got rid of a lot of things and replaced a lot of things with some.
I think that was a really important time.
With some good people around me and good, positive experiences that weren't just the band.
A lot of people find as they get older that they have trauma from their past, and that things that are happening today can trigger that trauma. You talk about your divorce. Once that was triggered for you, I mean, a lot of bands go through addiction and problems like that. And once you realize that that's what you were in, and your friends are coming to you saying, hey, you're our friend, you're not just the singer in the band, how can we participate and help you? I'm guessing that music had a lot to do with that.
Well, I think for me, music was always the one thing that I enjoyed the most about life, and it was the one thing that was consistently, especially in this group, consistently paying off. So you put the time into communication, you put time into the work, and then you get the fruit of that, and everyone was kind of moving in sync. So when you have something that's moving in sync, and then you remove yourself from that and then go into the rest of your day, and it's not in sync, it becomes really frustrating. And so in many ways, gears were clicking on really high levels, but for me, things just weren't really moving in every other aspect of my life, moving in the same direction. And so it was that transitional period when we were making Minutes to Midnight. Not only were we transitioning as artists and going, we're working with Rick Rubin, but we're ready to go make a record that doesn't sound anything like what people are going to expect, and it's going to be risky. But it was also like, okay, I'm going to now go work on enjoying the rest of life outside of making music. So, it was good that the band took a really long time to kind of experiment and play for me personally, because it gave me a chance to come in and be productive and be able to go away and be productive, and then come in and be productive and go away. And all of a sudden it was started coming around, and it was like, oh crap, I don't think the guys ever even really knew who I was as a person up to that point, because I was just like a mess. I was just kind of surviving. And so it was really a fun time for the band, even though it was a very difficult time. I think it was a really inspiring time, and it was a really, it was where we went from being, for me it was like, I want to be friends with you guys, but I don't really know you guys. And it was like 9 months, a year later, we're signed, and 2 years later, we've got the biggest debut, one of the biggest debuts of all time. I tend to have a hard time with life on life's terms, I am uncomfortable in all scenarios. If I'm happy, I want to get out of it. If I'm sad, I want to get out of it. If I'm just blah, I want to get out of it. And so
where are you
that's
comfortable?
What I work at. Well, I'm comfortable. I have to do a constant evaluation and work. I've got to always be on my toes.
Gotcha.
And stay ahead of the beast,
right.
And if I do that, and I'm helping other people, and I'm being of service to people, and I'm productive with my job, and I'm helping my family and my wife, and I'm being a good husband. If I'm not sitting in someone said this is a bad neighborhood. This is a bad neighborhood for me, right? And so I try to get out of there as much as possible. And when I'm doing that, I tend to be pretty good. So all of our songs started with these conversations, what's going on in your life, how are you feeling today, tell me about what's happening at home or what's happening with your family or whatever. And that's kind of been the inspiration for this record. It's kind of like, you know, all the stuff that we've been through in the last couple of years. I mean, imagine, some people can probably not imagine this and actually relate to it, but imagine being like really active, doing what you love. We were like on tour, we were having a great time, the band was performing really well, and then not being able to even do anything by yourself. Like you can't shower, you can't lay in bed, you can't get up and get a snack, like you can't fucking do anything for months. Mm-hmm. You have to have somebody with you 24 hours a day to help you do the most mundane things. Like, I need help to go brush my teeth. I need help to go to the bathroom. I need help to sit down. I need help to be just sitting here. Like, it sucked. And so that was really tough. So I was really, you know, but luckily for me, it wasn't my first injury. And also, Dave challenged me to a marathon right after I broke it, like the day after I broke it and had my first surgery. He was like, hey, you want to run a marathon in 7 months? And I was like, sure, why not? So that gave me some fuel to like get up and do things. So, you know, I broke it in January. On August, beginning of April, I went on tour with STP and started doing shows on it. So it was hard, but it was also like just beat it into submission so I can get my life back. All these things were going on, and it just inspired all these really great songs, all these really intimate moments, and it was just one after another, after another, after another, after another. Next thing you know, we got like 40 songs. Some of them were a little bit more kind of funky. Some of them were like a little bit more lighthearted. But ultimately, the majority of them felt almost like this record. And we were just like, I guess this is the kind of record we're making, you know? I guess this is what we're doing right now. Let's make the sounds really fun. Let's build the tracks and make the music as interesting as possible, because the lyrics and the melodies are so, you know? And so it was like this really fun, interesting experience. And at the end of it, I mean, I was like, F the world when we started this. And now I'm like, I love you. I'm looking outside like, oh, the birds at my car. You know, look at that.
That's funny.
That's so cool. You know, it's like, I mean, it's crazy, but it's not one of these like manic episodes where it's like, you know, I'm just like, you know, it's like legitimate. There's more peace. There's more of like a kind of like a quiet, and it's because I've earned that. I've worked for it. And I have tools, and like everybody's earned it. We're all really happy. We're all really stoked about what we created. We're stoked about how we've grown as a band and as friends. And I think that making this record in the way that we did was not only great for us creatively, but it was also great for us as people too. We felt like we needed to do something and give back. Hold on really quick. Sorry, you know, when the kids come up and want to hug you, you gotta stop and give kids a hug. So anyways, yeah. The fact that Hybrid Theory, one, that we got signed, we even made the record, that we even got it out, like, we had to fight for that thing, man. Like, it was like, it got ugly at some points. And it was just like, this is what this is gonna be like? Fuck this, man. It was like, at one point, I think we were all just kind of like, I hope they fucking drop us. But then we can just continue to be ourselves and not have these idiots fucking telling us to kick a shoe off and have.
That was one of the gimmicks that they suggest. Like, just every show, like, you could kick shoes off and that'd be your thing.
Bro, that's like your thing. Or like, we could put Joe in a fucking chemistry set with beakers, and it's like,
he could be the
I'm just like, we're sitting there looking at these people going, when are you going to shut the fuck up and leave? Like, are you seriously? Like, what do you do? Where did you come from? And why do you think you can come into our band and tell us what we're making? We make the record. I don't fucking care how many albums you watched somebody else make.
This is Chester's inner 16-year-old popping out.
This is the thing. When we made Hybrid Theory, it was like, we don't care. We are making the music, and we don't care about what you've observed somebody else do in your career. You didn't make anything. Why are you in here telling us how to make something? Like, seriously, like, I just have this to put this out there. As a society, I think there's a lot of things we do that are kind of ridiculous, and I think that, like, telling people who they are allowed to be married to and who they can't be, like, in love with or whatever, like, if 5 people want to be married to each other, does it really matter? Like, do you really care?
I care
Does it
nothing.
really affect your life?
I don't understand the anti-same-sex marriage or even freedom to marry. I don't understand that. How it affects you.
It spreads to all things, though. I mean, it spreads to so many different things. It's like, I see people and they're like, why do you put those things in your ears? And it's like, well, because I like them. And you don't have to. And that's what's so cool about it. Like, same with, like, marriage. It's like your life. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, who really cares?
A lot of people who have concerns about how other people live their lives.
Stop worrying about my
probably,
soul or whatever it is you're worried about that's not yours, that's mine. Like, just leave it alone.
Most of those people are not married.
I think, if this had been written, if we had started writing in 2015 when I personally was just like, fuck the world, it would have been, I would have been in there like singing songs about fuck the world. Like, like I remember I still have lyrics in my phone. Like, one of the songs is called I Hate the World right now. And that's literally like the punchline of that was the whole chorus.
That's funny.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
And like,
I love that.
the lyrics were like, I want to punch a hole through the ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, that was where I was at. And then, I got through that part, and then I got through another part, and then it was talking about where I was at after all of those emotions and kind of like dealing with that. So it really is a good representation of where we are now as opposed to anything else. Yeah.
And then final question, because my time's up. But so, is there a silver lining about 2015 for you now?
No, I fucking hate that.
Fair enough.
Fuck 2015.
All right.
Right in its butthole. And then 2016, there's a silver lining, but still fuck 2016. I've been, ever since I had my accident with my back.
Yeah.
I really, I was sitting on the floor with my legs crossed and leaned forward, and it was like my pelvis just, exploded.
Well, Dr. Drew's exploded many women's pelvises in the past.
It's horrible to have your pelvis explode.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, and
unfortunate.
And I was like, okay, I think I really need to start paying attention to what I'm doing. Not only just like taking care of myself, like mentally, but I was like, I kind of feel bad all the time.
Yeah. And in your industry, that's not a good way to be.
And doing the shows and not taking care of myself, like, it just, it was like, man, I kind of feel bad all the time. And now I actually feel great all the time.
Yeah.
And like, I have like all this energy, and like, when I don't feel good, it's because I'm sore because I worked out really hard, and it's like, I love that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's really about Mike or Joe. It's really funny, Mike, is I just had a conversation with Bill. I think it was like last night at Crazy Horse.
Did you guys read his Twitter? Did you read his tweet today? What a weird life.
So I was at fucking Crazy Horse with Kevin Spacey last night.
What the fuck?
It was awesome. And I realized my zipper was down. And I was like,
last night?
Yeah, I was like, dude, this has been happening. Now, here's the funny thing. At least, like, once a week for, like, the last, like, I don't know, it seems like forever. I'm like, oh.
What's wrong with you?
What the hell's going on with my brain that I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to finish putting my pants on?
You know what's funny? Is like, that's the type of thing where people eventually we be like, oh, it's kind of like, I think that's his new thing. I think he's like trying to start
Dude,
a trend.
That's the new shit. Yeah.
It's just the new shit. It's a no.
People don't take the thing off their bomber jackets, and I
Yeah,
don't
that's
I don't
like a
zip up
thing
my
that he
pants
doesn't
because
zip his
that's like the
pants.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, I got dope underwear. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's
Look at
cool
my
to look at.
I love it.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah. So when you guys come
So
to
here
the
I am,
show-
like, yeah, we're doing like this whole thing, like, on camera or whatever, like, for all these people, and like I got my belt on and my zipper down. Yeah, whatever.
That's very cool.
It's so funny. I was down doing Jimmy Kimmel with Dead by Sunrise, and I was down in the crowd, and I was singing, and this girl took her hand, 4 fingers, stuck them up to the crease in the thumb, into my mouth. All four, just deep into my mouth. And then I was just like, oh.
Who does that?
I was like, one, I'm singing on television. Two, I'm singing. Three, I have a f***ing microphone in my hand and I'm singing on television. What are you doing? Even if I wasn't, like, we'd just be like, hey, how you doing? It's like, shove your f***ing hand in somebody's mouth. And then later on, she flashed me and she had hairy wolf nipples. And this is true. For real. They had teeth and eyes. They were like were-titties. It was horrifying. My God, that light is just like a microwave, dude. I feel like I need sunblock or like something.
Voilà, il nous faut de la crème solaire.
Jesus.
Voilà, I know.
That's why he has a hat on.
Look at, I'm spritzing. Well, the last record, I mean, I wish we could have toured more for it. I feel like it kind of got, I was kind of let down that personally because I broke my leg like right when we put the record out, and like that kind of just threw off the entire year of 2015, and after that. So for me, it was just kind of like, yay, we put this awesome record out. Like it was super fun to make it. Like let's go tour. Never mind. Let me just go have surgeries instead. Right. So it was kind of like a bummer for me. At the same time, I feel like we did do as much as we possibly could, given the circumstances, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So, I think it was really, for me, it was just really like, I'm excited to get back in and start doing, and just go make another record and get back out on tour and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And, well, being injured and your mobility is then limited, did you write a lot? Did you think about music a lot? About new material?
No.
Okay.
I was fucking pissed.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in really bad shape. Like it was more than just like a broken leg. Like it kind of broke.
Broken life.
It was just a little bit of broken spirit. Yeah, it was kind of sad. And I think that actually like did work its way into One More Light. Like a lot of the residual, just stress.
Speaking of One More Light. We could use one less light.
Voilà.
It's that one.
Ouais, on pourrait avoir une lumière en moins.
That thing's gonna explode and like burn this building down. My microphone feels like it's been in the oven.
This is the hottest microphone I've ever.
C'est vrai que les micros sont très chauds.
Crazy.
Si quelqu'un peut baisser un spot, ce serait sympa.
Right, anyway.
I asked. We'll see if they.
Like in heavy.
Du coup, c'est là que vous avez créé le nouvel album.
Ah, merci.
Merci, Chef Lumière, c'est cool.
Thank you.
Dude, you're such a diva. You earned it. That's right. You know who you are.
Il a mérité qu'on baisse les spots.
People turn lights off.
You could cook an egg on my head right now. This time around, we actually started the process with like having a conversation about our day, like what's going on with your life.
Yeah, because you guys had a rough year, right? That's what I've heard. And
it seems like every year of my life is a rough year. Yeah. It just depends on how I look at it at the end of the day. Yeah. Like, some years I have a better perspective than others. And so, yeah, like 2015 was a really horrible year for me. 2016, not the best, but it was getting better. 2017, fucking kicking ass. I know for me, like I get in a place where, when I'm stuck up in here, it's all I can think about, and whatever that thought process is, whether it's a negative thought process, whether it's a depressive thought process or fear or whatever, I kind of get stuck there. And it's not to that moment where I kind of separate and take a look at it where I can actually do something about it. We were going to come out and play heavy first, but in light of our dear friend Chris Cornell passing away, we decided to play our song One More Light in honor of him.
I was thinking like just yesterday, like we played a show, a televised show, and we were going to play, we were booked to play the show so that we could promote our single Heavy and play that song. And then we heard the news about Chris Cornell and had a little powwow in the dressing room before we went on, and we said, the thing that's good for the band to do is to play Heavy. But the right thing to do is play One More Light because it's about the loss of a friend. And it's one of the most important songs on the record. And it may never be a single, but it's just an important song, and it's the right song to play, so that's what we ended up doing. Well, when we were doing a sound check, Chester couldn't even make it through the song. He was getting halfway through and getting choked up. And even when we did play the whole song, and it was live on TV, or filmed for TV, he kind of just stopped, like towards the end, like he missed the last couple lines of it, just couldn't finish the song. Fans were crying in the audience, and I think it was cathartic. I think it was good, because the message of the song, I think the reason is, the message of the song is, when you're dealing with something so deep as you know, losing a friend, or in this case, even just somebody you admire, somebody you look up to, when we're talking about some of these fans in the audience, one of the things that I think you can do is to reach out to people and offer them like community, like let them know, like we're a family, we're a community, like we care about each other, even, you know, whether it's a friend who's lost somebody, or a family member, whatever, like to reach out and let them know even that you're thinking about them is sometimes that's enough.